Shedeur Sanders slated to start more games than any other Browns quarterback in 2025. Cleveland needs to figure out what they have in all of their quarterbacks, which could help the rookie. The Cleveland Browns aren't the only team in the NFL with a quarterback competition brewing, but they have more eyes on theirs due to the presence of Shedeur Sanders. They knew this would be the case when they drafted him, but doing so in the 5th round made the reward outweigh the risk. Given his draft capital and 3 quarterbacks being technically ahead of him on the roster, Sanders doesn't have much of a chance to be Cleveland's starter come week 1. Kenny Pickett appears to be in line for that, but there are big question marks with all of Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel. Sanders could benefit from that Shedeur. Sanders could start games in 2025 to sell tickets for Browns. In fact, he might benefit so much that he may end up starting more games this season than any of them. At least that's what A to Z sports writer Desson Adams believes could very well happen in 2025. I think he has more upside than Gabriel and is worth betting on as a potential long-term starter, whereas I see Gabriel as a career backup. Secondly, I think the Browns are going to struggle this season no matter who is under center, and Sanders will sell tickets and get fans excited no matter if they win or lose. Gabriel was drafted ahead of Sanders by 2 rounds, so theoretically the 3rd rounder would be ahead in the pecking order. But like Adams says, Gabriel profiles more as a backup due to his stature and limited arm talent. Adams' point about Sanders bringing in fans is one that hasn't been talked about enough. For a team that will likely struggle to win games, putting Sanders behind center could, in theory, sell more tickets. If the team is out of contention for the playoffs, that could lead to a call from above. In the heart of Cleveland, where the echoes of past heartbreak still linger in the dog pound, a new chapter is unfolding, one steeped in swagger, confidence, and Colorado-bred poise. Shedeur Sanders, son of Hall of Famer Deion Primetime Sanders, is poised not just to rewrite his own story, but to redefine an entire franchise. Yes, you read that right. Shedeur Sanders is slated to start more games than any other Cleveland Browns quarterback in the 2025 NFL season. And this isn't just a depth chart formality, it's a cultural shift from Boulder to Believe Land. When the Browns selected Sanders in the 1st round of the 2025 NFL Draft, critics were divided. Was he too flashy, too raw, too focused on his image and NIL millions? But Browns GM Andrew Berry didn't see a brand. He saw a quarterback with a cannon arm, laser vision, and the rarest of intangibles: presence. Cleveland doesn't need a game manager, Berry said after the pick. It needs a game changer. That's Shedeur. His transition from college to pro ball was seamless. Sanders, who once broke Pac-12 passing records at Colorado, now walked into the Browns facility with the calm of a veteran. The moment was never too big. OTA snaps turned into preseason precision. By week 1, he wasn't just QB1. He was the heartbeat of the locker room. A quarterback room no longer in flux. The Browns, once plagued by a revolving door of quarterbacks, have longed for stability since the days of Bernie Kosar. The jersey listing dozens of failed starters had become a meme, a painful one. But 2025 has flipped the script. Deshaun Watson's tenure ended with more questions than completions. Dorian Thompson-Robinson showed flashes but lacked the consistency. Social media, but Badea, Pace Polbo. Then came Sanders. What sets Shedeur apart isn't just his mechanics or pre-snap reads. It's his leadership. Players gravitate toward him. Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey described him as the type of player who walks into a huddle and makes 11 men believe they're about to do something impossible. Through the first 8 weeks, Sanders leads the NFL in 4th-quarter comebacks. His stats? Impressive. But is the poise like that Week 3 thriller against the Ravens, down by 13 with 6 minutes left, where he tossed 2 touchdowns with ice in his veins, that has the city buzzing? Cleveland, this is for real. Every great player has a catchphrase. Shedeur naturally has his own twist on his father's charisma. After a dominant Week 5 win over the Steelers, where he threw for 310 yards, 3 TDs, and ran in the game winner, he stood at midfield, helmet off, sweat glistening under the lights of Cleveland Browns Stadium. He pointed to the crowd and mouthed, "Cleveland, this is for real." The moment went viral. Jerseys sold out. Even LeBron tweeted, "Shedeur, turning the Browns into box office." More than a quarterback off the field, Sanders is just as impactful. He's launched a scholarship fund in Cleveland's East Side, hosted youth quarterback camps, and brought in NFL veterans for mentorship talks. He understands the city, says Myles Garrett, the defensive captain. He doesn't just want to win games, he wants to mean something here. In interviews, Shedeur never dodges pressure. I want the smoke, he said after a tough overtime loss to the Bengals. Pressure makes diamonds. That's how I was raised. There's maturity behind the swagger. And Cleveland, for once, has a QB who doesn't just embrace the expectations, he thrives on them.